I'm Rachel Rubio, and this presentation is on China and America, the new geopolitical equation. Here is some background information on China and the U.S. and their relationship. There has been tension in the relationship even before President Xi took office 5 years ago. As a country, China has been gaining power by pursuing an expansive strategy of economic outreach and growth of national capacities like military power. The U.S., being seen as a strong and dominant country, has fostered the emergence of other power centers and countries having growing ambitions to pursue their own interests. A 2017 poll by the Pew Research Center found the power gap between the U.S. and China narrowing. Perceptions amongst U.S. economic power is declining amongst key allies. While China underestimates U.S.'s unique strengths, potential, and resilience, Beijing leaders may overestimate their own strength. This is a problem because neighbors don't feel secure, and this can diminish the country's economic influence. Washington needs to maintain its power share and play its cards wisely to stay on top. Soon after Trump took office, the two leaders altered Barack Obama's economic policy. They established 4 consultation mechanisms focusing on core economic, diplomatic, security, cyber, and cultural and human rights frictions. There was a 100-day negotiation period to address economic disputes in finance and trade. Both presidents made an effort to establish personal rapports and direct communication. Trump's withdrawal from TPP, massive trade pact negotiations between U.S. and 11 other Pacific Rim countries, and his stated intention to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement frayed the U.S.'s mantle as leader on international institutions. With the U.S. withdrawing, partners were left dry and countries began to not feel the need to include the U.S. This allowed chances to enhance China's international leadership to fall into Beijing's lap. When Trump took office, Obama warned him the biggest national security challenge would be North Korea's efforts to advance its nuclear and missile programs. Trump believes the White House was right to press Beijing to ramp up pressure on North Korea, and thought the past administrations had not taken a sufficient transactional approach with Beijing. The U.S. would give Beijing concessions in trade for cooperation on North Korea. Both presidents initially tried to cooperate on North Korea denuclearization, but frictions occurred. One of those frictions was caused by the Trump administration effectively attempting to outsource its North Korea policy to China. Beijing does not want unrest with North Korea spilling into northeastern China, so it maintained pressure and promoted peaceful resolution through dialogue and negotiation. China was doing just enough to avoid rupture with Washington without endangering North Korea's survival. President Trump went to social media to talk about how the U.S. couldn't count on China to heal North Korea, saying things like, "At least China tried." Trump staked even more on the issue and in the meantime sent North Korea further down its deliverable nuclear weapons path. It was time for Washington to do something, and the best and smartest thing to do was acknowledge North Korea has a modest nuclear deterrent and prevent use of those capabilities, just as Washington did with the Soviet Union and China. The downside to this overt approach is that it would encourage others in Asia to obtain their own deterrence. Trump originally put other issues with China on the back burner to achieve North Korea's denuclearization, but when that failed, the relationship between the U.S. and China became crowded with past issues, like talk of steel and aluminum tariffs and secondary sanctions on Chinese institutions and individuals. President Xi had 2 desires. One was to cultivate stable relations with the Obama administration and Trump to keep U.S.-China relations on an even keel. The second desire was to appear tough on the U.S. back at home. Xi has restored key aspects of strongman politics and moved CPP to the center stage in society and government. He has made many political achievements, like disposing of opponents and political potential competitors. Despite these achievements, Xi faces constraints and is insecure about forces boiling below the surface in Chinese society. While Xi's anti-corruption campaign gave him supporters, it also created enemies among targets. Xi's foreign policy. The U.S. will be dealing with Xi when it comes to national security for the foreseeable future. Under Xi, Beijing has become progressively more assertive in safeguarding national interests and winning more say for China abroad. Xi's masculinity is a reflection of China's more than 3-decade modernization of military structure, operations, and equipment. The major reorganization of military in 2015 boosted capacities and Xi's personal control over armed forces. The Pentagon's 2017 report to Congress concluded that the modernization of China's military has the potential to degrade core U.S. military technological advances. Beijing has been making very sizable international infrastructure investments in ports, transportation, and power grids. These efforts aim to make China a connectivity hub in the region. Beijing seeks to drive wedges between the U.S. and its allies and to diminish post-World War II U.S. away without destroying the international structure that helped China get where it is today. As for today and the future, America has difficult decisions to make. They must ask themselves how they want to proceed in terms of economic engagement with Asia and China, meaning either multilateral or bilateral trade. Then there is the North Korea issue. Should they just accept North Korea has nuclear weapons and prevent their use, proceed to tighten pressure, or pursue using force? Beijing and Washington must monitor key challenges and priorities which can lay the foundation for mutual benefits and peace. Since the U.S. is no longer in a position to compel cooperation, it must be negotiated.